started. Great, and hello and welcome everybody to your session where we'll be focusing on building the foundations of an effective digital strategy. So we will be discussing the foundation of your digital strategy today and setting up your digital goals. So feel free to share your goals for the program and for your digital strategy in the chat throughout the session. So we will talk about some key tools and frameworks you can use, but feel free. But first, we will ask why you should have a digital strategy in the first place. Then we will cover some reflective practices and the key components to include in your strategies before demonstrating our digital strategy wizard tool. And then we will look at setting SMART goals and have time for any further discussions and questions you may have. It's lovely to see the introductions in the chat. Please feel free to continue. And let me introduce myself as well. My name is Svetlana. I'm a digital communications coach on the Bridge program at Lightful. And I have joined Lightful almost 2 years ago. And before that, I mostly worked in the nonprofit sector, dealing with partnerships, fundraising, digital communications, and campaigns. It is also always really exciting for me to meet new organizations and learn more about their goals in digital. And I think this is definitely important for us as coaches to better understand your aspirations and your priorities on the program, so we can better know how to support you during the next month of the program. So this session is really exciting for me because I truly believe that goals are really a foundation of all of our work, and they make us motivated and they make us move forward. So I'm really looking forward to learning more about your goals today. And I'm not just the only person on the call today. It's also my colleague Pilar. So I will hand over to Pilar to introduce herself as well.
Thank you, Svelana. My name is Pilar. I'm also a digital communications coach here at Lightful. I've been in Lightful for almost a year, but I have loads of years of experience in digital marketing and communications, both working with nonprofits, with social impact organizations, and generally with brands that have a real purpose and want to drive that in their digital strategies. So I'm really excited about what we are going to talk about today. Let me tell you more about the learning outcomes that we have for you today. First of all, we are going to identify what are the key components of an effective strategy. And then we are going to plan how you will create and implement that digital strategy. And finally, we're going to look at the SMART goals. So how do you set up a SMART goals for your organization from the beginning of the Bridge program? So if digital strategies are something that is totally new to you, don't worry, because we're going to talk about what this means. But if you do already have a digital strategy, then this is a great opportunity to revisit that strategy and use the tools and the templates that we are going to be talking about to set you up for success at the beginning of the Bridge program. So let's go through the digital strategies and why they are so important. Lots of you have already shared in our introductory session that you want to grow your digital presence, you want to build clear brands, and you want to have meaningful metrics. So we are going to talk about why digital strategy is important, how it can help you achieve those goals, and what is a digital strategy. A digital strategy really is a plan for achieving your organization's goals using digital marketing. And this may be raising awareness of your work amongst different audience groups, so amongst service users, customers, funders, or partners. Or it may be about increasing your funds or increasing your income using digital channels. It can also be about how you tell your story, how you tell stories to engage stakeholders and decision makers. And I know that that's also one of your goals, to become effective storytellers. So we want to make sure that we do this in a strategic way. And of course, there are lots of digital channels. So we have social media, website, email marketing, and each of them should really work together. So it's how we coordinate all of these channels to achieve our goals. So you are reaching the right audiences on the right platforms at the right time with the right message. So that's what having a digital strategy helps you do as well. So let's first look at the landscape. So what's happening on the internet and with technology? First of all, what we see with the digital environment is that it's loud and it's a very busy landscape. So we have a lot of competition for attention. What you can see here in this graph is what happens every minute of every day. So in terms of the number of Google searches, the number of Facebook posts, the number of WhatsApp messages that are being sent is in just 60 seconds. So you can see the impact of the internet and the digital technology on everyone's lives. This is also a great opportunity. So yes, there's a lot happening, but this is a huge opportunity for organizations like yours to reach wider audiences. So what you actually need for all of this to kind of cut through the noise is to have a robust storytelling framework, high quality content, and knowing exactly what's the right message to get the attention of your target audiences. So this is what a digital strategy will help you do. Let's move on to see how we start building that digital strategy. First of all, I want you to think about how do we focus? Because there's so much probably that you want to talk about, for example, but how do you give focus to that digital strategy? So it's about being really organized and intentional about what you're going to do. Setting up systems, coordinating with your team, and then reviewing those results so you can optimize as well. So always start with your vision and mission. Make sure that your digital strategy is aligned with what your organization wants to achieve. So you may already have a mission statement that is very obvious or not, or maybe you need to clarify it. I'm going to give you an example. At Liveful, our mission is to help nonprofits become better storytellers, build trust, and raise more money. So you may have a really clear mission statement at your organization. So if you do, I ask you to share it in the chat with us. Share your mission statement so we can have a look as well. And also it will help other people if they are working on it. And if you're still working on it, if you haven't really, if you maybe need some help clarifying that mission statement, I recommend that you book a one-to-one digital coaching call with our team as well, because we can help you do that. Something else, whilst you're posting about your mission statements, is your organization's goals. So your strategy should also link to your wider organization goals. So think about your activities, your events, your fundraising, your volunteer engagement, your staff. Your digital strategy really is linking all of these elements together. So let's have a look at some of the mission statements. Oh, you haven't posted any, but if you can share some of them in the chat so we can see your mission statements, I give you some time to do that. And what I'm gonna do as well is ask you another question, but in a poll, which thank you, Svilana, for bringing that up. So this is a couple of questions that I want to ask you before we get stuck into learning today. So I like to share to ask you this: does your organization currently have a digital strategy? And how confident you feel about creating and using a digital strategy? Okay, so I see some, yeah, I think we're missing a few more people answering. We have most of them. Okay, so I see it's quite, yes, so some of you do have actually the majority of you do have a digital strategy, even if it's basic, but some of you don't have a digital strategy. And in terms of confidence, I see that you are somehow in the middle. So hopefully this session will help you increase that confidence. If you do, for example, for the 4 people that said, yes, we have a digital strategy, please share with us if you have come up with any specific challenges with your strategies, or you have any areas that you want to focus on improving as well. So we can take that into account in the session and moving forward with the program as well. Please do share with us any challenges that you may have had with your strategies, or anything that you want to improve with your digital strategy. And now I think I can take a look at some of your mission statements as well. Thank you so much for sharing those. So I'll read a couple of them. Juliana, driving sustainable development through technology and education. Very, very clear, very good. Nani, child abuse community training empowers and builds capacity for communities to be advocates and active bystanders in child abuse prevention and protection. Really good as well. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing them. I think this will be really, really helpful for everyone as well. Great, so I'll now get started into how do we start building those digital strategies. And one of the key things that we recommend doing is starting with some reflective practices. So these practices can help you create better and more relevant digital strategies in the sense that they can be better informed by what is happening. So think about how you analyze what is already going well, but also understand anything that's missing or that needs to be improved. Also, it's about understanding what's happening in the environment where we are working, because everything is changing all the time and it's changing a lot and it's changing rapidly. So how do we understand what is happening in our environment? So it's helpful to use a couple of tools to reflect and plan for the future. And what we are going to go through is two tools, the SWOT analysis and the PEST analysis. So let's get started with the SWOT analysis. And you may be familiar with this already, but I want to kind of remind you why this is important and why it's kind of the foundation of your strategy. So this helps you look at your organization, look at what you are doing well, the opportunities that you have for growth, but also any challenges and how this might potentially impact your work negatively. So SWOT really stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So let's have a look at an example of a SWOT analysis and the things that you may be looking at. So let's start with the strengths. The strengths, this is all about reflecting on what we are doing well. And sometimes we forget to do that. So what are we doing well? What do we have that is really useful? So for example, you may have passionate volunteers that are really engaged. They are really energized. How do you use their energy, right? You might have some really good relationships, some really good partnerships in the community. So understanding this means that you can mobilize them within your digital strategy and make the most of what you already have. Now, let's look at weaknesses. So on the other hand, every organization has areas that need improvement. And perhaps your team, yes, is really enthusiastic and is really passionate and is really good at understanding the voice of the brand, but they lack some skills like tech skills or digital skills, and you need to work more efficiently. Or something that we hear often is a common challenge is limited time and capacity, right? We lack the time and capacity to do everything we want. So by identifying them, you then can think about what you will do to address them. What can you do to kind of minimize these weaknesses or improve these areas? Let's look at opportunities as well. So opportunities are things that are very specific to your organization that could help you grow. So maybe you have a local business, a new local business that has opened that could be a potential partner. Or you might have contacts in the media who you could work with to amplify your work amongst key stakeholders. So things that you haven't utilized yet, but are there. Or maybe there's a new funding opportunity that is really relevant to you, or maybe there is like a potential new customer group that you can target. So this helps you prioritize what you will do towards all of these by identifying these opportunities. And finally, let's look at threats. So these are outside factors that might impact your work. So identifying them, you can also think about how you mitigate them and what you need to do to minimize them somehow. So you might have, for example, competition from others that are doing very similar work to you. And this challenges you to think in a different way on how maybe you are telling your story differently, how you kind of raise awareness differently. or you have something like a change in donor or buyer behavior because of economic challenges, because of anything that is happening in the environment. So this might change also how you do your campaigns or how you fundraise with certain audiences. So we're gonna start with an activity to do this reflection of your own organization. So what I would like you to do is to post in the chat one strength of your organization and one weakness of your organization. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about it and to write it down. So one strength and one weakness. Maybe to inspire you, to give you a little bit of help here, example of a strength could be that we hear often is that they have a passionate and dedicated team of volunteers and staff, for example. I think we have some coming. So I'll read the first one from May. Bright spots energy. So the strength is a network, just you network within the industry and ecosystem. That's really great. And weakness, very new. So you're very new, still established you need to establish a brand name. Great. Thank you for sharing. Amira, I think our strength would be customizing different messages for different platforms, acknowledging that they are different audiences. Weakness might be inconsistencies in voices as the content might be created by different people. Oh, that's really interesting, Amira. That's really interesting. Okay, so YTL Foundation, Alex is sharing strength, partnerships, running 5 programs, and weaknesses, capacity, and resources. So I want you to think about when you think about strengths and weaknesses as something internal that you have, right? Not just something that you do, but something that you have that you can use. So Natasha, Aros Academy, education focused social enterprise, strength, quality content development and delivery, good programs. So you have really good programs, you deliver them very well. A weakness, people might be confused about what we do because our programs cover various literacies, financial, media, digital. Okay, I see. I understand. That's really, really good. I'll read 2 more. So found strengths, a pioneer in the niche field of biogas-based electricity generation in Vietnam. So I guess what you say this is that you are one of the first to do it in Vietnam. So you already have some kind of territory gain in that sense. Weakness is a young company with still limited resources. Great. Strength, well-established comms channels, and weakness, tracking, monitoring, conversion performance. Great. Thank you so much for sharing all of those. And I now want to move to the next tool that we have, which is the pest analysis, which will help you as well. So what is the pest analysis? And again, you may have or not, may have not used this. So this is a strategic tool that you can use to look at the external factors that are impacting or may impact your organization's environment. So these include political, economic, social, and technological factors. And there are other versions of this framework as well that include 2 more that have to do with the environment and legal factors as well. So you may see another one called PESTOL. And that may be relevant for your organizations, but we're gonna focus on this on this one. And if you feel that you need to add more, please do. So this is looking at external trends and changes that can impact your work positively or negatively. So let's start with political. So political, we all know that governments and regulations play a big role in shaping how you operate. So whether you are a non-profit or whether you are a social impact organization, there's going to be legislation that impacts how you receive funding, how you can advocate, how you can engage with communities and policymakers. There may be, as you see here, data privacy laws, for example. So sometimes these can present really significant challenges which might feel outside of your control, but knowing about them and considering them, you can ensure that your digital strategy is actually compliant, is effective, and is adaptable to what is coming as well, so you can prepare in advance. Next, we have economic factors. So this can influence donor, customer, or funder behavior, but also demand and need for services. For example, if we have a situation where disposable incomes drop, donations may also decline, sales may also decline. So this forces organizations to rethink their approach to fundraising or to how they sell their services. On the other hand, economic downturns can also increase demand for your services. So particularly in areas such as food security or housing or healthcare, or even like microfinance, for example. Or perhaps you work in an area which offers really innovative solutions to the consequences of these economic challenges. So this could be a great opportunity for you to have greater impact. Or it could be about grants. So imagine that you rely a lot on grants and are looking to diversify revenue streams. In this case, knowing what's happening with corporate giving trends, with philanthropic priorities, with crowdfunding opportunities can help you identify new funding sources and refine your digital campaigns. And then we have social factors. So this has to do with cultural trends, with public attitudes that can impact how people engage with you. So, for example, in the nonprofit sector, we see changing donor expectations with an increased desire for transparency and impact reporting. So people want to know more what's happening with their donations. Across social impact organizations, what we see is generally problems with misinformation and the spread of negativity and skepticism, especially if you're working on innovative areas as well. And so what this helps us do is change how we communicate, how we tailor our messaging, how we engage with people online. So understanding these social dynamics will help you create culturally relevant and impactful digital campaigns, as you see. And finally, we have technology. So technology is constantly evolving, as you can see, bringing both opportunities and challenges. So we have emerging tools like AI, automation, digital fundraising platforms, and this is really changing the way that organizations connect with supporters and operate more efficiently. Recently, we saw a report showing that 61% of nonprofits are already using AI in their day-to-day operations. So this is already a major jump from the previous year, where it was 35%. So this reflects a growing need to explore how digital tools, how AI can boost engagement and help us be more efficient as well. So what I want to say with all of this is that it's really important to be aware of these external factors and how they affect you, so you can help them mitigate and also prepare for anything negative or also opportunities that may kind of emerge from that. So again, let's go and do a reflective activity where we are asking you to share a couple of things. Reflect on one political factor right now that could impact your organization or that already impacts your organization, and one technological factor that is also impacting your organization. Oh, there's a question about pest, how it's different to opportunities and threats. is doing it from another kind of lens, is doing it through this lens of political, economic, technology, and social. So it's almost like forcing you to look through those lenses to also find opportunities and threats. Yes, they are complementary exercises in that way. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of minutes to share. And to inspire you, but I know you're probably writing. So thinking of technology, sometimes it could be a new tool or a new funding program that could open doors for you. It could be something like that maybe has popped up recently for you. Okay, so we have a couple of answers already from Hafizat. We work closely with the Ministry of Education. If they have issues also affected somehow our programs, yes. So Clara, political, it could be is a change in government policy. Think maybe about what particular policies may affect you. Technological, change in the focus of apps used by the majority of users. Yeah, that's really good, Clara, as well. So Hafizat is saying the changing of a person in a company affected our funding as well. Changes in maybe our funders, our corporate donors. Okay, political factor, policy change, regime change, okay, and technological, add more ways in reaching our target market beneficiaries because they are on TikTok and other social media. Okay, yes, that's really interesting in terms of the platforms that your kind of your target market or your users are on. Yeah. Political new fundraising regulations, technological AI tools, and ethics issue, and his ethic issue. Another one, the government net zero target by 2050, an IoT platform. And we have two more, the government support and subsidies for high-tech agriculture. And then for bright spots, policy changes in rooftop solar implementation, possible cabinet reshuffle means that priorities change for rural electricity. That's really good. Thank you so much for sharing all of those. They are really insightful. I'm now going to hand you back to Svilana to go a little bit deeper in how you build those digital strategies.
Thank you, Pilar, and thank you everyone for sharing such deep reflections in the chat. It's nice to see that that you have thought about them so deeply. So now let's talk about how you can use all of this information and these approaches that we have just shared with you. So to analyze your current position of your organization and then start building your digital strategy. So the first thing to remember is that a strategy doesn't need to be a big and complicated document. Keeping it simple will make it very much easier for you to stick to. And there are 6 building blocks to your strategy, which you will see on your screens now. So the first one is objectives. So the first and really important one is to understand your goals, as they are the foundation of your entire strategy. So during today's session, we are going to share some frameworks to help you set up your objectives, and we will share some initial thoughts and ideas for those. So it might be to raise a certain amount of money or increase awareness of your mission or grow your audience or base of supporters, or maybe achieve a particular sales target or reach a certain number of service users. So you can start thinking about your goals already. Then another important one is your audience. So this is who you are trying to reach. And it is really important to identify your target audiences and tailor your communications accordingly. So you know who you are speaking to and how you can better support them and tailor your communications. The next one is constraints. So this is all about the restrictions that you face. So they might be technological or capacity related, as some of you have mentioned in the chat. And I think it is a common issue for many organizations that capacity is always an issue. So I think that might be one of the constraints you have. So your team's budget for developing, implementing, and executing new digital marketing and fundraising strategies might also be a constraint. And the goals of other stakeholders in your organization, as well as key stakeholders or partners that you work with, could also be considered as a constraint as well. Then you can have tools. So these are the resources that you currently have and the resources that you need. So this could include analytic tools, design tools, or CRM platforms. And also remember to factor in the tools that you now have access to with the Lightful platform. And this could also include some AI tools that you're using in your work as well. The next one is your content and channels. So this is what does your audience want to see. So your different communication channels should support each other and work together for an effective strategy. So think of them as an ecosystem of all the channels that you have, and think of how you're delivering messages for different audiences. As you also have, some of you have also shared in the chat that you have different audiences and different messaging, but sometimes there is an issue of consistency. So that might be really important to rely on your digital strategy for this. And the next one is measuring success. So this is all about how you will measure your progress against your objectives. So you should identify the metrics you will be tracking and regularly check in against them. So this might sound like a lot of work, but we are going to start at the beginning today and look at your objectives. So the first part of our digital strategy. And we will be able to support you in all of these different areas as we go through the Bridge program. So you don't have to feel overwhelmed from the beginning. We will move in creating your digital strategy step by step. And if you have already got a strategy, which I know a lot of you already do, and if you have it in hand, have a think about whether there are any gaps in it or things that you need to improve or update in your digital strategy. And we will also share with you the link to the course in the chat, so you can dive a little deeper into digital strategy and how you can build it for your organization as well. And we also have a tool that we are really excited to share with you, which is designed to guide you through the process of creating and updating your digital strategy. So at Lightful, we have created a tool called Digital Strategy Wizard. So you don't have to come up with digital strategy document from scratch. The Digital Strategy Wizard is a step-by-step template for you to use. So you can use it to structure your strategy, collaborate with your team, and export it as a PDF as well. And it is all accessible for you to use within the Lightful social platform. So just before we start, let me just update and share my screen. And yeah, just before we take a look at the Digital Strategy Wizard, I would just like to do a quick recap of the Lightful social platform. So this is the tool which you can use to plan and implement your social media strategy. So the last time we have shared with you how you can connect your social media accounts and create posts. So let me just do a quick recap. So this is what the interface of the platform looks like. And you can see on the left, there is a menu of many different tools that you can use. And you can also see on the dashboard the calendar of awareness days that you can use in your social media content and your content overview, and also a small bit of social media analytics for the accounts that you have connected to the platform. So just to get started, you can go to settings first and go to social profiles. And you can see that you can connect different social media here. So it could be X, Facebook, LinkedIn Business, and Instagram Business. And you can click on connect to connect your social media to the platform and follow a couple of steps to connect your social media accounts. And then you will be able to share posts through the platform and schedule them in advance. So to do that, you can go to create posts and select the social media channel you would like to post to, add some captions, add some media, and schedule your post to go live on a specific date and time. And you can also see the best time to post here. So that should be really useful to make sure that your audience really sees the post that you share. And you can also get our AI feedback to your post to improve your posts and make them even more engaging for your audience. And after you have scheduled the post, you can go to the posts section here and see the calendar of your posts and see which kind of posts you have shared on specific dates. And also, if you'd like to add other people from your team to the platform, you can also go to the team section in your settings and add other members of your team and select the role for them. So you can see there is a breakdown of different roles on the platform. But if you'd like to add someone else from your team who doesn't take part in the Bridge program, you can also add them as a user to the platform, so they can also see your social media content and use the tools that we have on the platform as well. And I can see a great question from Van in the chat. Would you suggest each team member to complete the wizard separately, or we work together for one version? We definitely suggest that you work on one strategy, as you all work in the same organization, and ideally should have one vision for your digital strategy. And also the tool is working in the way that if someone from your team makes changes to the strategy, it would be visible for everyone else. So you will see that, for example, if someone else from your team has completed this section of your strategy, it would be filled for everyone else in your team. So ideally, you should create one digital strategy for your organization, and you can work on it together. So you can select which sections you're working on, or you can discuss it during the call and also fill it together if you like. And also there's a good question from Clarissa, if you will get permanent access to the platform, or is it time locked? You will get a permanent access to the platform. The only limitation would be the number of social media accounts you can connect after the Bridge program. So we have a forever free plan, which you can select after you finish the Bridge program. So you will be able to use the platform at any time. But after the Bridge program, if you'd like to use the full capacity, you can also switch to a full plan if you'd like to connect more social media accounts and more people to the platform. And we will share about in more detail about it also during the program as well. But feel free to use this tool, and we will make sure that you can access your digital strategies even after the program ends. So to start working on your digital strategy, you can go to the strategies tab right here, and you will see the template that you can use for your organization. And as your homework, we would ask you to focus on the first 4 sections of this strategy. So you can see they are listed here. So the first one is statement of purpose. So this is the question why you are developing a digital strategy. So what is your main goal that you want to achieve in your organization? So for example, that might be to structure all of your activities and understand how you can utilize your digital content to serve your organizational goals. Then we invite you to add some organizational digital objectives. So those are objectives for your social media, your email marketing tools, and your website. So all the digital channels that you are using in your organization. So for example, those might include conducting quarterly audit of your social media, or for example, to launch an email marketing tool, or update your website, for example. Then you can see a SWOT analysis. So we have already given a start during this session. So you can continue by listing your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you can also conduct a past analysis here. So you have already started doing so in the comments, so you can continue your past analysis here. And then you can see also other sections of the digital strategy here. So you can identify your stakeholders, and list the goals and channels for your social media, and also identify your budget and your goals for digital fundraising, the timeline of your digital strategy, and the metrics that you would use for reporting, and finally assign roles and responsibilities. But you don't have to complete all these sections all at once. You can just work on it as section by section and save it for future. And after you have done so, you can also download it as a PDF if you'd like to share it with your team. So once again, as a homework, we invite you to start working on the first 4 sections of your digital strategy. And then during the course of the program, you can return to your digital strategy and continue working on it, or update it as you have more knowledge. So I really hope that this tool looks useful to you, and you will give it a start after our today's session. And now let me get back to our slides and talk you through the SMART goals. So the very first and most important step in building your strategy is understanding what your goals are and what you actually want to achieve. And your goals give you something to measure against, so you can see how you're doing and check whether your strategy is really working. But here is the thing, goals are not something you set once and then forget about. So they should give you your strategy and your digital content all the way through. And think of them as a compass that guides your organization. So something you come back to again and again to make sure you're heading in the right direction. And once your goals are clear, then you can start mapping out your plan for how you're going to achieve them. So now when we talk about SMART goals, in this context, we mean SMART goals. So some of you might have heard of this before. And if you have heard of this acronym before, feel free to share in the chat if you know what SMART stands for. So once again, SMART is an acronym, and each letter stands for something that makes a goal stronger and easier to achieve. And for those of you who have already had our onboarding one-to-ones, you already may have set some goals. So as we go through this, I would like you to think about how you could make these goals SMART. So does anyone know what SMART stands for? Feel free to share in the chat. And you can also do it letter by letter, because I know it's 5 different words, 5 different letters that this acronym includes. So does anyone know, for example, what S stands for? I can see Natasha has answered that already. So you're sure that most everyone knows, which is amazing. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Amazing. Thank you very much. This is completely correct. And I'm glad that you already know what this stands for. So let's break it down one by one. So specific means that you understand that your goal is clear and focused. So if you would share this goal with your team, they would understand what you mean by this goal. So a vague goal makes it hard to measure progress. So you should try to keep it sharp and focused. Then the next element is measurable. So you need a way to track your progress. So can you really measure whether you have achieved it or not? So give yourself something tangible and quantifiable, like numbers, percentages, or milestones. The next one is whether your goal is achievable. So remember that your goals should be realistic. And if they are too ambitious, they can feel overwhelming and demotivating, but they also shouldn't be too easy. So you want something to stretch your team and challenge you. And then another element is relevant. So to make sure that your goals are connected with your bigger objectives. So if you remember the slide that Pilar has shared before, your goals should be connected to your mission and vision and to your organizational goals and values. So you might completely smash a goal, but if it doesn't actually support your organization's mission, then it's not really moving you forward. And the last but very important element is timely. So every goal needs a deadline, and having a time frame helps you focus, prioritize, and hold yourself accountable. And it's also what keeps you honest about whether or not you're making progress. So not every goal is easy to make SMART, of course, but it's worth putting in the effort because SMART goals bring real value to your organization. And they also help keep your team aligned and make priorities clearer and give you a solid way to check if you are on track. And here is the key. Even if you don't meet every single goal, it's not a failure. It's a chance for you to adjust and understand what's wrong or not working about your approach and what is something that you can improve. And on the flip side, if you find yourself hitting every goal with ease, that's a sign that you maybe are not as ambitious as you could be. And one of our recent bridge participants shared something brilliant. So they have taken SMART goals a step further and learned them and turned them into SMART T goals. So an extra I and E stand for inclusion and equity. And why does this matter? It matters because when we are setting goals, it's not just about hitting numbers or deadlines. It's also about making sure the work we do is inclusive and that it contributes to equity and real positive change. So let's break this down. So inclusion is about making sure diverse voices and perspectives are part of the process. And it asks us to go beyond the usual success metrics and think about who we are involving and who we're empowering and whether we are creating space for people who are often marginalized or underrepresented. And then we have equity. So this takes it even further. And equity is all about fairness and justice. So making sure resources, opportunities, and benefits are shared in a way that tackles deeper inequalities. And it could mean setting targets that reduce barriers to participation or making sure your strategy actively promotes fair outcomes for those who are most vulnerable. So here's a quick example. So the SMART goal might sound like this, like increase the number of registered volunteers by 20% in the next 6 months. And a SMART goal would sound like increase the number of registered volunteers by 20% in the next 6 months with a specific outreach campaign to underrepresented communities. So our volunteer base is more diverse and better reflects the people we serve. So that's the power of adding inclusion and equity into your goals. It shifts the focus from just achieving growth to making sure that growth is meaningful and fair. And to bring this to life, here are some goals that we have worked on with the previous bridge participant from Orbis, an organization working to train local teams to tackle and prevent blindness in their communities. So while we share these goals, start thinking about what your goals might be. So prepare to share them in the chat. So we have split these goals into awareness, engagement, and fundraising, and worked on developing and monitoring this through their one-to-one coaching calls. So firstly, we have brand awareness. So they wanted to increase the average reach of their social media posts by 5% by the end of August. And this clearly has the different components of the SMART goal. So one thing they had to work on, was adding a deadline, and otherwise it's indefinite. So they knew the average reach of their post at the start, which is what helped them set that goal. And then we were able to come up with steps to take, which would drive towards this goal, such as including call to actions and updating the visuals. Next, we have one on supporter engagement. So email newsletters can be really powerful ways to engage existing supporters, but it can be a challenge getting people to sign up. So Ciara from Orbis wanted to increase subscribers by 5% by the end of the year. And then, of course, rather than just wait to see if that happened, it was important to then take steps to ensure this was on track. So she ran a mini social media campaign to prompt existing followers to take that action of signing up to their newsletters, explaining why and what benefits they would get from receiving the newsletter. And they had a great response from this campaign as well. And then finally, there was a fundraising goal. And in this instance, it was a very short campaign run by the Global Giving fundraising platform for just 4 days. And they previously hadn't had success with this. So it set a goal of raising £500 and planned strategic communications around this key moment. And they actually raised £1,000 and totally exceeded their goal. So when Ciara was where you are now, at the start of Bridge, she set these goals, and then she was able to monitor progress over the coming month with her coach and take steps to ensure they stayed on track. And she also shared that she then actually exceeded most of her goals by the end of the program. And now it's time to share. So I'm sure each of you has some specific goals you are working towards right now. And hopefully you've also started thinking about what your goals might look like on the Bridge program. So please share in the chat, or also feel free to unmute yourselves and share your digital goals for the rest of the year and probably the next couple of months in 2026. So let us know what you would like to achieve in the next couple of months. Would anyone like to share their digital goal? It could be any goal, like don't worry if you have anything fully mapped out yet. We have just started working on this, but maybe you have some ideas on what you would like to work on, like maybe improving your social media engagement or updating your website or starting an email newsletter for your existing donors or your service users, for example, or maybe increasing fundraising or maybe building partnerships in your community. So is there anything you'd like to achieve in the next half a year or a year, maybe? Would anyone like to share? Yes, Nani, please.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Okay. I would like to increase followers and expand the brand.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much for sharing. Now maybe you can think of how you would make this goal smart. So by adding a deadline and also maybe specific channels. So which channels you'd like to increase your engagement on and by which time, and maybe that might help you think of how you will try to how you will try to achieve this goal. Like we're posting more frequently or including a call to action or maybe introducing new content formats for your audience. So as a next step, I just advise to think of different elements of SMART goals and try to implement them in your goal. And if you need any support with that, feel free to book a one-to-one and we'd be happy to discuss that during our one-to-one session. Thank you very much for sharing and for also breaking the ice. And I can see some responses coming through in the chat. So Van has shared that you'd like to reach 5,000 followers on LinkedIn's org account from the current 4,500 by the end of January 2026. Amazing. So this is a really specific goal, and you have also reflected on your current followers base. So you can see the clear growing here, and you have you can also see that this goal is achievable given your current statistics. And it's also clear that you have a deadline here. So this is an amazing example of a SMART goal. Thank you very much for sharing. And Janina has shared that you'd like to grow followers by 10% by the end of the first quarter of 2026 to increase brand awareness. Amazing. So you have also added the goal here. So there is a goal behind just growing your followers base. You also would like to do that to increase awareness. So you know how it is connected to your organization's goals as well. And also to increase post engagement by 100% by the end of the first quarter to build an engaged community. Amazing. And yeah, also as if you can also add some details on which channels you would like to use this for, and probably how often you would measure this, that could be also amazing, but really great examples. Thank you very much for sharing. And I can see Patria has shared that we have 2 programs in your organization. I think this is a question. So is it better to have separate digital accounts campaigned for each program or do them all in one account? Well, I think it really much depends on the program and the project and their scale. So if they're whether they are targeted at more or less the same audience or different audiences, I think that you could probably use the same organizational account for both projects and just create a contact mix that would represent them both and highlight them both. But if you feel like that would be for 2 completely different audience, I think you can definitely set up a separate social media account. And your goal is to reach 50% more leads for one of your paid leadership training program. Amazing. And also if you could probably add a deadline for this, I think that would be amazing. And I can see more comments from Juan. So you would like to reach SEO ranking top 5 for 10 new products keywords in the next 6 months. Amazing. Thank you very much. And I can see more SMART goals coming in the chat, but I think we're just conscious of time. We have only 5 minutes left. So I will probably hand over to Pilar now for our next steps. And then we would probably, if we still have time at the end of the session, we'll reflect on a couple more. So I will hand over to Pilar now.
Thank you, Svilana. So before we give you any tasks, I want to make sure that you can log into your accounts because this will allow you to access all the tools and learning resources. So if you haven't done so, please click the link that we are about to share in the chat to reset your password. And once you have done that, so we'll share it in the chat in a minute. Once you have done that, we would like you to complete at least one Liveful academic course by the end of next week. If you need some inspiration, I recommend that you go to the Digital Strategy Development course and you take that course before the end of next week. Then, as you saw with Svilana, it's really important to set those goals now. So make sure that you can set 3 to 5 SMART goals for your organization. Think about it. Think about how you make them SMART, as Svilana was saying. And finally, we would like you to try using the Digital Strategy Wizard because it will be really useful to set the foundations of your digital strategy and to have a common view in your teams of what the digital strategy is trying to do as well. So moving on from this tasks. We will allow you also to complete your individual progress tracker by the 28th of November. This is a key step for everyone to complete as soon as possible, really, if you haven't done it already. We have shared this in an email, but we need everyone, all individual participants, to complete it in order to get started on the program. So if you haven't done it, please do it. This will help us also understand your progress, and we will share it with your program funder as well. Something else that I want to share with you is that now you are part of the Global Bridge community. So you can join the Facebook community if you haven't done it yet, where we have over 1,000 Bridge participants from all around the world, past and present. So you can network with loads of peers, share campaign updates, and also we share sector insights in that group. And for this specific cohort, we have the WhatsApp group. So if you haven't joined that, it's going to be really good for you to do that as well, because we send reminders and notices straight to your mobile device, and you can network with other people within this group. So you can share learnings, questions, asking others for feedback too. Before we go, I want to launch a final poll. So let's go to this one. So a couple of questions. How confident do you feel now about creating and using a digital strategy? And how do you rate the usefulness of this session? So please complete the poll as we go to questions as well. So we take this time, we have like a couple of minutes in case you have any questions, anything that you want to clarify from all the information we've been sharing, anything that you would like to know, any help. This is the time. And I know that you have been asking some questions in the chat as well, so I'll review that too. I know some of them have been answered, but I see one from Ian. What if we are working on a different project with different mission? Can we create a new organization? I think, yeah, okay, no, Vilana, you answered that one, actually. But
I think there were so many questions that
I think you answered that one. Yeah. But there's another one that maybe I would like to go a little bit deeper, which is what's a good, meaningful measure of success you would recommend when it comes to social media? Are number of followers as meaningful as engagement rate? So many metrics to look at. Which should we prioritize? Okay, let's go into this. And I know that Jasmine gave you a little bit of an answer already. Okay, followers are great because it helps you again with brand awareness, as Jasmine was saying, but sometimes they feel like they call it a vanity metric. So we need to go deeper. So think about what is going to be useful for you in terms of what is showing you progress towards your goals. So always think about the metrics that align to your goals. So if you have a goal around fundraising, what are the key metrics that help you understand what's driving success in fundraising? Whether it's people, for example, landing on your donate page, so it's people visits to your donate page, but also conversions, right? So how are people actually clicking on the donate button? Are they going through it to the end? So think about metrics as something that will give you information and insights that will help you understand what's working and what's not working. So that's an example. So when it comes to social media, what is it doing for you? So the engagement, is it helping you reach more people, for example? So if there are a lot of people commenting, that may be a good metric for you to measure if you want to create conversation. If there's something about, like, for example, are people clicking on your links through social media, or what is it doing beyond just kind of having followers, right? So think about those metrics because they can be really specific depending on your particular goals. So always tie it back to your goals. And I don't know, Svilana, if you want to add anything else around that.
No, I don't think so. I think, yeah, there are a couple more great questions in the chat, but I think I would like just to follow up on the one Ian has shared in the chat. So in terms of whether if you're working on different projects with different missions, is if you can create a new organization on the platform. So if you would like to add more social media accounts, you can definitely do so. So there are currently no limits on the number of social media accounts you can add to the same organization page you have on the platform now. But if you would like to work on a digital strategy of another project, unfortunately, we only allow having one digital strategy for one organization on the platform. So if you would like to work on their strategy as well, I think maybe then you can create a new account for that. But if it's just in a matter of creating social media posts and scheduling your social media content, I think you can just use the same account and add more social media channels. I hope this has answered your question. And I can see we had more questions, but I think Jasmine has mostly answered all of them.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much for joining us and for staying with us for the questions. If you have more questions, please book a one-to-one with us because we can go deeper into each of the challenges and the goals that you have. So I totally recommend that you get on a coaching call with us. But thank you so much for your attention, and we'll see you very soon, I'm sure. And I hope you have a good rest of the week as well.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.